And now for a couple of games we're also reviewing on Spawn Point, but we've been having such a good time with them we couldn't resist having another chat about them here.
Yes, and starting with a game based on the greatest movie of all time, Jurassic Park.
Well, it's a good movie. I don't know if it's the greatest
Of all
movie.
time.
Isn't there anything else to eat on this island?
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yes, get ready to get that John Williams score stuck in your head for 10 hours of bashing and building. LEGO Jurassic World is faithfully based on all 4 dinosaur films, which you play in chronological order. Joe, I was not expecting this game to be so scary. A LEGO game.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, that first film is still quite scary as an adult, and it's just as stressful in LEGO form. That whole introduction is just so moody. The cage in the trees,
I want tasers on full charge.
the screams of the raptor, the strange obsession with sausages. Okay, that last part wasn't in the movie, but often they use shot-for-shot recreations and audio recordings from the films.
Shoot her! Shoot her!
Although some of that audio quality is a little bit hollow for video games, making it hard to understand at times.
Really uniform direction changes, just like a flock of birds evading a predator.
After all, the first movie was made, oh my gosh, over 20 years ago.
Oh, I feel old.
Oh, I am old.
Velociraptor?
No, not Velociraptor.
I quite liked how they took noises from the characters from the movies and then just used them as generic jumps and fighting noises for the characters in-game. It's a bit weird, but I don't care.
Best of all, this game is a bit of a change of pace for the LEGO franchise. Recent LEGO games tend to focus heavily on combat, and that's the weakest part of the LEGO formula because the fighting is so simple. But with Jurassic World, they've brought puzzles and film moments to the forefront of design, especially in chapters based off the first 2 films, which are by far the best. And I think a lot of that has to do with our attachment to those films.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they've been really clever about tweaking iconic moments for a game that can always be played in co-op. And there's some standout sections, such as that whole kitchen sequence.
Oh man, that part where you're being hunted by raptors outside with Muldoon.
Clever girl.
Oh, and that cliff section from the second film.
So good. And of course, they've tweaked it so that no one actually ever dies. Even the cow at the start doesn't actually get fed to the raptors.
The essence of chaos.
Chaos theory. Hex, this brings me to my favorite part of this game. Finally, after all of these years, we get to be Jeff Goldblum in a video game.
There's one thing the history of evolution has taught us. It's that life, finds a way.
Truly a special experience, Barjo.
Yeah, it's just so delightful. I wish I could be Jeff Goldblum in every video game with some sort of universal amiibo or something. That's the dream.
I just wish the islands were fully open world, though.
Yeah, me too. A little more room to explore and breathe would have been nice.
Overall, this is an intense wave of nostalgia gaming.
It can smell me.
And it's a wonderful cross-generational game. Adults and younger gamers can happily co-op and have equal enjoyment.
Barry, charge up the gate.
I am giving it 4 stars, Barjo.
I had a great time with this, Hex. It reminded me of the first time I played Lego Star Wars, reliving such a magic movie within a game in a new and fun way. I'm giving it 4.5 Jeff Goldblums. Next up, it's time to get messy in Splatoon.
really was quite an unusual move for Nintendo. I mean, last year if you'd asked me to name the two genres that we were least likely to see from Nintendo, shooter and online multiplayer would have been at the top of my list, and yet they're both at the core of Splatoon.
And it hasn't even got Mario in it. It may sound completely non-Nintendo, but that's allowed them to bring some really fresh ideas to the shooter genre. For a start, the multiplayer is not so much about shooting your opponents as it is shooting the environments.
That's right, the winning team is the one that's covered more of the map in their team's ink. Sometimes it will make sense to KO your opponents to delay their ability to paint, but really the map is what you want to focus your strategy on.
Just painting everything in sight worked for me. It's such a shame there's no online voice chat though, and maybe it's Nintendo not wanting to have any offensive language in their games, but I just think it's so central to any sort of online play.
Yeah, I mean, voice chat would have been nice, but I didn't miss it so much in this game. I mean, when you get down to it, painting the map is a simple enough goal for everyone to get behind.
I think they've absolutely nailed the mechanics. Instead of ammo boxes, you refill your ink supply by swimming around in it. Plus, when you're swimming in the ink, you're harder to see and less likely to be shot, especially since you move faster.
But of course, the downside to swimming is that you're not painting any of the map, and every second counts. So you've got a huge incentive to get out and contribute to the score as soon as possible. Which I think gives the gameplay a really nice balance to it.
I was impressed at how well all the online works. You access all the modes from a central plaza, and going online is as easy as walking through these doors.
Plus, they even give you a little doodle jump style game to play on the gamepad while you're waiting in the lobby.
We should also mention the single-player campaign, which is quite different to online play.
Yeah, the single player is more about obstacle course style challenges. So abilities like being able to swim up walls you've inked are much more important here. Plus, they've sprinkled levels with tricky enemy types that you need to sneak past or distract with grenades.
And there are the usual trimmings like orbs to collect, which you can buy better weapons with, and even some classic 3-stage bosses. The single player was much more fleshed out than I was expecting.
Yeah, me too. I think for me the only mode that fell flat was that 2-player local co-op. It was just so slow-paced compared to 8 players online. But that's a small gripe considering how well they've done with everything else.
It's just so good to see Nintendo trying something different and have it come together so well. And they're regularly dropping new maps too, which is great. I'm giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, considering what a simple concept it's based around, they've managed to squeeze so much fun and depth out of it. I think this is hands down one of the best Wii U games out there. I'm giving it 4.5 stars.